What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and one of the reasons that geek and nerd culture is so unique is because of the emphasis that we place on lore and continuity, and Star Wars is no different. It's one of the reasons we can sit around with our buddies and have these passionate arguments, discussions, fights even, about what model Han Solo's blaster was, or what color this person's lightsaber was, or try to figure out when did this happen, and someone chimes in with, oh, that was episode 3 of season 4 of the Clone Wars, duh, you didn't know that? It's what makes it so unique, and that's why canon is such an important thing to so many fans. And it's also one of the reasons that Disney Star Wars has failed so epically, because for all the care that Lucasfilm put into maintaining continuity in so many different ways when the Star Wars Expanded Universe was being produced, they have failed to do so in the 6 years since they decided they were going to have one unified Disney canon, toss all of this aside, and create this Lucasfilm story group. But it's a problem when your story group includes people like Matt Martin, who show time and time again that they do not care about continuity. They do not care about canon. And I've made a video about Matt Martin before and some of the things that he has said, but it definitely looks like it's time to revisit that because of his statements. This is Disney Star Wars is Dumb. Ichi Baka did a lot of the legwork on this. There's also an article right here from Bounding Into Comics. I'll read you the headline. Star Wars Story Group writer Matt Martin. Star Wars canon is, quote, all fake anyway. Of course it is. And of course, Ichi Baka has the headline, Matt Martin says it's okay to reject Disney canon. Let's see what the great Matt Martin has said this time. Matt Martin from the Lucasfilm Story Group recently tweeted out the following. So this is in response to Mark Langston. At Missing Words, that's Matt Martin. Hey, a tweet you made earlier about canon versus non-canon sort of confused me. I completely misunderstood the part about not enjoying something less just because it didn't happen within a fictional universe. I still read EU stuff and play SWTOR. Good. You're reading the good Star Wars and you're playing the good Star Wars. But I also do that knowing very well that if Star Wars was theoretically real, these would not actually be actual events, sort of fiction within fiction. Is that not accurate? Thanks. And that is kind of a strange way to explain those things. But here's what he says. Matt, again, let's just remind everyone. Matt Martin is part of the Lucasfilm Story Group. The Lucasfilm Story Group's purpose was to align Star Wars into one single continuity. There was going to be no more, hierarchy of canon, George, Clone Wars, the Expanded Universe, Elseworld stories, also known as Star Wars Infinities or alternate endings in game. That hierarchy of canon was going to be no more. It was all just going to be canon. Anything that was written from this point going forward. And they have proven time and time again that they are not qualified to do this. They cannot keep canon straight. And when you have someone like Matt Martin say that he doesn't care, that explains a lot of the reasons why they have such trouble. Matt Martin says, I think the point that I was making was that what is and isn't canon informs how future stories may be told, but doesn't need to dictate how individual fans enjoy their own personal Star Wars story. So in the previous example, a person was asking about recanonizing a past story since that specific story hasn't been explored. And I said if they like a story, there's no reason they can't accept it as real in their version of Star Wars. And what he's talking about is head canon. And I do agree that people should be free to enjoy whatever they want. However, the reason Lucasfilm Story Group exists is to tell us what is and isn't the official story, because that is a very important thing to a lot of fans. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to choose to enjoy this far better, far more expansive, and far less agenda-driven stories in the Star Wars Expanded Universe than I will Disney canon. But it's still important to know what the official canon is. And I said if there was if they like the story, there's no reason they can't accept it as real in their version of Star Wars. But if it was an opportunity to tell that story, now the new creator would not be beholden to that old version of the story. So to summarize, there's a reason. We need to internally know what is and isn't canon so we can keep our line of official storytelling as aligned as possible, but that doesn't mean fans can't individually pick and choose what they want to accept as true. It's all fake anyway, so you can choose to accept whatever you want as part of the story. If you choose only to accept real official canon, cool. If you like to mix and match between continuities, cool. If you like to make up your own stories, also cool. And like I said, you can enjoy whatever you want. But my problem here is that Matt Martin has shown time and time again that he doesn't want to be beholden to canon. He hates the idea of canon, and I can show you that right here. Look at this. IO9. Our fascination with canon is killing the way we value stories. This is basically an entire article about how fans are too picky. Fans are too obsessed about what is and isn't canon. And the guy whose job it is to keep it straight, that's his entire job as Lucasfilm Story Group member, says yes, everyone should read this. It's a much more articulate way of discussing something I've often tried to crunch down. It's also why I choose not to answer, to give frustratingly vague answers to many questions thrown my way here on Twitter. I should probably just save this link and use them as my reply to "Is this canon?" questions for the rest of my life. Well, the simple fact is that it matters to a lot of people. That's why it mattered when you threw this away. When you took something that was in the hierarchy of canon, the expanded universe, and you toss it aside and you make it Legends. That's why so many people had a problem with it. That's why so many people have a problem when every iteration of The Rise of Skywalker that comes out is different than the last one. And you can say, Matt Martin, you just choose whatever you want, but that doesn't make it any less of a fact that you guys can't keep it straight. That is what he's trying to say, in my opinion. I think Matt Martin has been trying to deflect a lot of this criticism about how they can't keep their canon straight by saying, well, in the end, you guys are just a little obsessed with it. Just like what you want. Whatever version of The Rise of Skywalker that comes out, whether it's the movie, whether it's the novelization, whether it's the young adult novelization, whether it's the comic book run that will be coming in June that I'm sure will have many different things that actually happen, just, choose your own. Don't put any pressure on us to keep it straight. It's not our fault we can't keep canon straight. And it's been proven time and time again right here from Matt Martin. This is when he didn't even realize that Rey was Palpatine's clone's child. He says, I'm not sure what revelation you're talking about. Where does it say Rey's dad is a clone? Says Matt Martin. And he had to get someone to show them a screenshot of the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker when it's shown that Palpatine is the daughter of a Palpatine clone. Matt Martin, whoa, this wasn't in the one I read. This is why I always listen to the audiobooks after they're out. But yeah, exactly what a Strandcast is not yet explained. These are the questions that Matt Martin doesn't want to have to choose. This is why he would like you to choose your own canon, your own story, so that he doesn't have to keep things like this straight. They said, when's the last time you read the old version? A couple of months ago? I usually read the first or second draft, typically first, but it may have been later for The Rise of Skywalker since I wasn't the lead on that one. And he goes more and more again over things that he did not know. This is one point where he says, it's part of my job to ensure the stories are aligned with the overall vision of Star Wars. If the intention was to make a direct connection between Palps and Anakin's birth, I would have had it removed. This is in reference to this scene right here, where Vader is having a vision, where then for the next year, people talked about how they had confirmed Palpatine was in fact Anakin's father. He was the one who initiated this birth, this gathering of midichlorians. Then a year later, Matt Martin had to come out and say, well, no, that's not what happened. I would never let that happen. Well, you let it happen for a year. This is also someone who said, when asked about this, what did Pride mean when he said jam their speeders? It's Star Wars. The tech is made up. They would have jammed it by pressing the jam button, I assume. That wasn't meant to sound rude or anything. This is just one of those things that separates Star Wars from other sci-fi. Things work because the story says they do rather than because of some deeply thought out scientific explanation. Well, we know that jamming is a real thing in today's world, so no, it's not made up. It is explained, but you don't want to do your job. Matt Martin doesn't want you to care about what actual canon is. And if you want to reject Disney canon, Matt Martin says just go ahead and do that. It's ridiculous that that's the standard we now have at Lucasfilm, that the people in charge of keeping the story straight say it basically doesn't matter. It's all fake. What do you care? Just pick whatever you want to like. Why am I even here? That's the attitude that's been going on at Lucasfilm for such a long time, and for so many hardcore fans, they're really tired of things like that, and people whose job it is to keep canon straight saying that canon doesn't matter. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, I'm going to take his advice and I'm going to choose to enjoy what I want, which I have been doing ever since 2014. When they said that all of this stuff right here doesn't matter anymore, I disagree. I think it matters a lot. I think it's much better Star Wars than the crap we're getting now from Disney. But if you enjoy Disney canon, then I'm glad you have some Star Wars you enjoy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I will talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.